the Antos update. So this is a really good, informative update on Nonz. So anyway, I am very hyped, for this Nonz project especially. Not just that, I am hyped for the Teen Titans / Miltilda special for Nonz. It's gonna be another, it's going to be a dictionary movie for Nonz. It based off, an actual library. There's gonna be a library movie for Nonz. It's gonna be based off Miltilda and Mad Mod from Teen Titans. It is a good update, and that one is gonna star Nikki Maru. Nikki Maru is gonna be new characters to do. So what I'm going to do is what you gotta understand about Nonz is that this isn't a pop aspect, but what they're gonna do is what Canada try to do is Canada try to fuse the pop aspect of, like they tried to play off like why American cartoons couldn't pull off romance, and that's why they made Total Drama Island. Do you know why? It's because everything that you think is boring is what you have to absorb in Lily, because what 16 actually is when you actually date, it's casual dating. Because what you expect dating to be is oh, this and that, like really very elaborate, like really going into detail. But where it is a lot of people saying what's going on, but it's saying what's going on in a subject. Like what they're doing is they're talking about sports and they're being elaborate about sports. They're talking about other shit like animals and stuff like that, and you're getting mad at the shit because they're so fucking multi-dimensional. It's not that. It's just that they surround my health. Their family forces them to be multi-dimensional because what they surrounded by. Some spoiled like brats like take that and they take advantage of that, and they're like, oh, I know how to go this place and that place. You only did that place because your family wanted you to really know what the world had to offer. So you spam it in front of my face because you know you're abused the fact that you have more money than me, you have it easier than me in society. So what you do is you make the wrong decisions with your parents' money. And you know what I learned? What happened was this. Mr. Pleasure one time, it was when I graduated high school, when I finally started macking on girls. So you all know who Banashalicious is. It's one of my strippers on Instagram. I know strippers personally, and I date strippers personally, so like literally I have a stripper aspect to me that always keeps me professional. So like this is what I use, not to bribe people, but to show you that I'm professional. I work with people who have literally contractors, so people call me out like I'm not famous. I'm like, no, like, I fuck people that are famous, you don't understand. I fuck them like literally like, you don't understand. You try to, so you don't understand, like when I go somewhere, it's not the fact that I'm rich, it's the fact that I make the place poppin'. What they do is they put Easter eggs for my life and shit like that. Like say if Fan May has a dance, Fan May has a dance, and still for me is showing something. Hey, I can do something crazy with my hands. And like I learned this from a thug at school and stuff like that. I referenced type of communication. So what happened was the ancient Egyptians, what they do when they stood off against each other is that literally they would stand off and they would do this hand motion, and that motion would call a tut. It would be a spiritual, and tutting is a form of sign language, but what it is like literally it's a message through hand characters like Naruto when you do hand signals. That's a form of a tut, but it can't be a tut because it's all in the same motion. A tut, I learned recently, changes rhythm. What it is it's a robotic movement where you're trying to connect pieces of your hands, like you put your finger where your thumb is, and stuff like that, but you do it in a robotic motion, but you glide it, like you glide your thumb on each finger. And it originates from Egypt. You know King Tut, Ram Voodoo, how I always say Tut is the form of a dance, and Tito has a Tut cannon, and Tut originates from Egypt, so like it's a dance. There's some little education for you guys because I'm really hyped for the Mad Mod project. It's really in. Matilda's one of my favorite movies, and so if you want an Easter egg from Giovanni, aka Chris, aka Atachi, he went like this. It's like literally, Matilda, the one time when she's trying to eat the cake and she can't eat it. TGI Fridays. Every single time we go to TGI Fridays, there's this big ass fucking cake. This is big ass fucking cake. So I was like, my mom was like, Eris, what do you want? I'm like, oh, I want ribs and macaroni and stuff like that. I'm like, is that too much? I'm like, no, and my mom was like, what do you want for dessert? I'm like, I want the big fudge pie. And my brother was all like, oh, yo, so many people who tell me they go here can't finish it. What he would do is he would make fun of me because I made a challenge each and every time with TJ. Every time, like I would go with Grandma, Sonny, and Mom and Chris, and we would go on TGI Fridays, and I made a thing. He's like, you do it this time, Eris? I'm like, almost. And this time, and literally, I get farther off that time. It was so fucking funny. So it's about this. It's about this. Fucking, he's like, it looks like he's eating the brownie from Miltilda. So I look at him, I'm like, fuck you. I'm sitting over here still trying to eat this shit, and then at the end, I end up Lily. It would be like Lily. It would be like Lily. A fucking. It would be a third of a quarter, and I still can't fucking eat it. So my brother, and so I'm like, what? He's like, defeat. So if you've seen Miltilda is a movie about a girl who goes to a Catholic school and she's talking to a nun, and like it's so fucking funny. The nun is talking shit. So Lily, what happened was this Lily freaking like he gained supernatural powers by being in the school, and so since Madmod already put you in supernatural school, what's gonna happen is gonna fuse them for the non-special. But let me go into the Antholes plot. I told you to what inspired the Antholes, but I didn't tell you the plot of it. So basically Beretta is literally based off of a girl from Demon Slayer. I couldn't fucking find her name. She's from the Mugen Train movie, but Lily, she's a girl who I call Saddam Hussein. Lily, like I call her Lily. Like Lily, that was the first thing when I saw Mugen Train. The first thing is he tried to fuck up Rengoku. I'm literally, damn, this bitch just opened the fucking portal to a whole Lily. A whole wasteland of fire. Literally, I saw that. I'm like, bruh. Literally, fucking, Lord, this is like, fucking, she opened the motherfucking portal, and then literally, all you see is fucking fire, but literally, it's all blue, and there's a fucking box in the middle. I'm like, what the fuck? This bitch literally opens the portal to a whole bunch of fire, like Saddam Hussein. What the fuck is this shit? Nah, literally, motherfucker, see Eric, his dreams is like, oh man, this nigga's creeping. Literally, this guy, literally, he's out to get me. Literally, he hides behind this shit, niggas he is and shit. Literally, and he literally fucking goes fucking down the street and shit. This he like, man, I gotta hide. Fucking, if I stay here, like him and my and fucking overbrand might fuck me up. Who knows? It's like, motherfucking. So Beretta is based off her as a motherfucking. So what happens in Demon Slayer movies? He opens the motherfucking portal, and I'm like, oh shit, motherfucker. Already causing military mayhem like Saddam Hussein. So she is the antagonist for the Ant movie. So what she is her power is to like literally control like military rapidly based on how like literally like how we think. So she is basically Call of Duty is Xanax. She's based off Call of Duty is Xanax. So literally, so she has like what she does is she has leggings, but they're like there's a pattern, like you know how Cell has a pattern. Instead of spots, there's Xanax. So she has Xanax leggings on her fucking feet. She has literally the Red Ribbon Army patch on her fucking nose. She got a Bape camo or green Bape camo, a Domo hat. She's based off her name is Beretta Saddamo, and she's a part of the Saddam family. And Saddam family is based off the Adams family. And Nonz there will be an Adams Family theme song, and the Adams Family will also breed like we are another, you know, group of children that are based off the delightful children from down the lane, Conan Kids Next Door. They're all from the same town, so all that town is in the area of Fahrenheit, fucking Boys and Ivy and Sativa. So Sativa, what happens in that arc is a canon Nonz. So that arc is the supernatural arc of Nonz, where we see Lucy and we see Gabaya adapt to Lucy. What we see is an overpowered girl, and we see Gabaya who's already confused, and that shit is fucking crazy. So what happens is like they're all part of the same universe, not universally. It's a certain part that we eventually have to go to. So even if the original like events happen, it fits into the original Nonz continuity so much, because what happens is they have to find out more about these users in order to deal with the digital universe, because we don't know about the digital universe. The digital universe is primitive. So what movies are in Nonz is that they are really elaborations for future events of manga timelines. So every like movie, like Glider Man, stuff like that. So like really what these movies are is these are informational movies about the Nonz universe. Like Bayside and those other projects are informational Nonz movies about society. Like every Nonz movie serves a different purpose. These movies are specifically, these are like fan, but they're educational for Nonz. Like, so what I did, so there's gonna be a tuning exam, Spells true for Nonz. Like, this is gonna be a tuning exam / stomp yard, because I was inspired by the boot camp session of stomp yard. So literally what I'm gonna make is like, I'm gonna make every fucking, dad user use stomp the yard. And it's really, so, Julio is gonna be there, fucking Yumi Neji, but it's a freestyle thing that you're not supposed to take seriously, but it's based off some serious shit. Because literally what this is doing, because the tuning exam teaches you some real shit that you gotta get older to understand. And stomp the yard is already, training you can drop for boot camps and shit. Like, you get what I'm saying? So like, literally, but we're also gonna replicate it. We're gonna do a satellite, and we're also gonna do a chain dance, but we're gonna do a chain dance when Gar gets in. So what that is like, this is telling you, like, really, this is what Nonz is, but this is why we have to exaggerate it for this movie, and this is why we can't make it canon. You get what I'm saying? But this is what Nonz is as a whole. So what separates, the Boys and Ivy arc from this is that the Boys and Ivy arc is a really extended continuation. Like, what that is that super canon material, but you get what I'm saying? It's when the series really goes somewhere else and stays canon. That's all I can say. How can you make it supernatural but still be so down to earth? Oh my god, there might even be like, but that's the whole thing about it. It's like, it's the middle of nowhere shit. That's the whole meaning of Great for Your Life, Charlie Brown. What it is like, it's based off people trying to infiltrate foster care and shit. Lately, imagine if the KKK infiltrated a foster care. This is how fucking crazy shit. This is the concept of this shit. Literally, this is Gabaya goes into a fucking, or about foster care, because he grew up in foster care, because at least that's what happens. Him, Keto, Morihiro, because foster care is how Nonz met. So Gabaya met, them at foster, and they end up literally, so Grace for Charlie Brown, the Charlie Brown, based special of, Nonz is literally when Gabaya literally goes to literally a foster care that's different. He already grew up in one, but like, this is the one where if he has to spend the night, that's the whole meaning of the special. But the Boys and Ari arc is like literally the whole meaning of foster care and why they're separate for society. And so he ends up meeting people like Sativa, and this and that, and that's what, so he meets everybody on the farm who has supernatural powers, but how are we outdoing them? And Gabaya is figuring that out. You get what I'm saying? So it's to figure out, like, literally, this is a quirk of people that literally, so like there are other people who know how to use this quirk way stronger, so what we have to do is we have to go in order to learn how to use this quirk at our moderate rate. So they send people like fucking Tofu and fucking, Yui Neji, fucking Yabaya, in order to fucking figure out what's up with this foster care and what's up with these kids with all these natural powers, because they hear that there's gonna be a villain that's gonna use them way stronger than the kids. So that arc is canon, but the Grace for Your Life, Charlie Brown is literally like, do you get it now? There's going to be a third tuning exam movie, but it's going to be for different, but it's going to have a 3, but they're all making a statement, but it's going to be one big timeline. But that's just, that's anonymous. Those are just like, really, that's one you should take seriously for a different reason, I'll say. So Ant-Holes revolves around, Beretta, and, so yeah, one of the great things about her is like, so the Saddam family, comes from like an era like that. So Saddam Hussein, they all come from that, that spooky fucking shit and stuff like that. Like, literally, so what's going on is this. So like, literally, the Ant-Hole thing is like, literally, what happened is like, literally, Beretta comes to specifically trap Dayaki society in an anthill. So what happens is, like, we're going to, like, what happens is, instead of us going underground to be ants, imagining the ground rising up all of a sudden, and all of a sudden you have to live underground. So it's based off Gurren Lagann. Have you ever seen Gurren Lagann? It's where people are forced to live underground. They don't even know upper ground exists. What would happen if, what would happen is, we sunk into them doing an earthquake, and we're forced to live with them. But then somebody put cement on top of Lily. Somebody made an earthquake, and then he put cement on top of it. That is how ants start. So like, literally, so what Ant-Holes is like, literally, we gotta have to breed with these chimera ants. Like, literally, what these are, and these ants represent black people. Like, literally, so like, literally, what's gonna happen is, literally, Ant-Holes is representing, like, literally, not only when media was in its prime, but when it was interesting, when it made you think about something, because Ants was a really, really good movie, phenomenal nonetheless. But why doesn't it get the praise for freaking Shrek and stuff like that? It's not too mature, and it has a lot of romance, because you know what, like, and I'm like, I wonder why people don't talk about it. They play it all the time, but why the fuck they don't talk about it? Like, why don't they fucking talk about this nigga, slap this nigga in the face, or why? This is some really good shit. Why don't people talk about this shit? What Ants did is that they made ants more relatable to people. So I'm wondering if the author like really did personal study of ants himself. So that would be really interesting. But where ant holes is like really they're trying to adapt, but certain people bring people along with them. So Beretta traps herself in the ant cement. So at least she traps herself and she traps everybody else. Like she forces you to live with this ant. It's like not insanity, but what she's doing is she's gathering information. She's creating something extreme, but by a weak opponent in order to like establish that it's a distraction. And they don't want them to notice this because they're making them interact against Beretta is crafty, but that's not her strategy, but that's the whole reason why they sent her. I want the Federation to like operate under this. Because what ends up happening is the Seabots arc, you want a spoiler? What happens before the Seabots arc is that we establish that really it's all about decision making more than being somebody in a fight where it comes to this war shit. And Nonz, like what happens is the leader of Deathwire, you don't even know what Deathwire is based off of. Deathwire is based off of a company I used to be co-signed with. And then signed myself, it used to be merged in my vision. Like literally, I was the boss of that company. My signature was on that. Literally, they had to put my signature everywhere. But instead of my whole name, how about use my screen name in slang? So instead of paying me money, I'm like, I'm in the mood today, literally, but they don't say mood tricks. I'm like, so literally, so what they'll do is they like put a Snapchat filter of Super Saiyan hair and they be like, mood, and that's how I grew up. And they kept that shit alone. That's how I was able to fuck bitches and shit. Literally, it's like literally, you're like, oh, mood, really, fucking literally, this girl is like, really, I'll go you, like, really. And then a girl posts on Instagram mood and they know it's me and then they'll fucking type fucking mood on their jeans and shit and mood. But like literally, the main point of this. So before I show you Deathwire, I have to show you Jay Stalin because the majority of the people on my fan base are nerds. I have a couple of Jay Stalin AMVs, but I have to make my own example before I show you Deathwire. It's required for me to show you Deathwire because Deathwire is the main antagonist group, but what they do is they don't attack Wire Race. So what happens is the Seabots, the fighting trait of Nonz, when Nonz really gets hectic, when Nonz gets chaotic. There's a time when Nonz gets chaotic and times when Nonz settles down. And when they go to the Poison Ivy arc is when it settles down. You get it? But how can I put that? How can I fit a beginning concept at the end? What I have to do is I have to advance the world, and then literally what happens. So the traveling arcs go from literally traveling arcs of adventures from traveling arcs for information, shit like that, and then it goes from that to solo missions, like literally to other journeys and shit. And sometimes emergency missions happen to where we have to leave other territories and shit. So Deathwire is number one, right? What happens at the end of the Seabots arc is, spoiler alert, nobody wins. Neither the Seabots nor the Federation win. So what Deathwire does, knowing that they're stronger, what they do is instead of attack us, they hide from the Seabots. So what they do is they create a moon base in the sky. So this is how the original Nonz played out. And after Imagashi, what they did is the leader of Deathwire made his moon base in the sky, and he negotiated with Seabots like, we're not gonna have a contract, but we're not gonna fight each other either. I'm gonna let you have your own ambition, but if push comes to shove, I don't wanna work with you. What they said to the Seabots is, you are a potential threat, but I don't want to attack nor provoke you, because what I want you to do is, I know you don't have fuck with them here because they don't pursue it. What I want you to do is I want you to be a part of my new world where I create. I don't want to attack you, I'll do this and that, because the leader is critically insane, and what he's trying to do is like literally he's trying to make sure that literally nothing exists but something is constant. Literally, that's the whole point. And that's just a hint. That's not what I'm really trying to do. What I'm trying to do is, this dude is like really crazy. So like this guy, I'll give you a hint. The leader of Deathwire, spoiler alert, has the same ability as Tupacalypse, and we don't get introduced to Tupacalypse into Nonz Times 2. I'm talking about his backstory. We are introduced to Medea in Nonz 1, but in Nonz Times 2 we are eventually realizing, how did we get all these powers? So what happened was a power that manipulates not hyper juice, but the highest substance of hyper juice. It was evil in a different context. What it does is it makes hyper juice dead, but it makes it active. So what it can only represent like foul creatures. So this guy can summon like really freaking really demonic creatures that have no conscience, but they're super powerful because they're made of nothing but hyper juice. So they're the ultimate puppet that can move and the ultimate tool that can destroy. And so literally this and that. So like I'm gonna put it like this, man. So what happened was this. So Deathwire literally what they did was really they waited till things calm down. And so what happens in Nonz 1, how Nonz ends, is that literally freaking there's a time skip for a reason, and that's why I can't spoil anything more because I'll go way too much in depth. So literally, so just keep that in mind. But we also have to fit in Kami High, and there's gonna be IQ High too. So Lei G comes from IQ High, and like really, and there's also Villain Academy. Zofio's, you know, school is Villain Academy. There's X-Men Academy that's run by Iroku Fuyaka, and Zofio's Villain Academy. So Villain Academy has Boomer, and Boomer is a high tier at Villain Academy. So Boomer comes from Villain Academy, and he's going to enter the tournament in the next arc. You get what I'm saying? And he's like, and we come from Villain Academy. So, if you want to know, the original Gabaya before Nonz, the original idea of Nonz came from Gabaya. Gabaya was made to match Naruto. I'm like, how do I make a name like Naruto? And I named the series Gabaya. So, it started off with Gabaya. So, the original Gabaya only had a handful of characters. Better wasn't really in until later on. So, Gabaya was just, it was Gabaya, Zofio, Timdachi, and Viado. Those are the only 4 characters in their original Nonz. It was Viado, for the Valentine's Day special, Gabaya, Timdachi, and Zofio. Those were the only 4 characters that were relevant at the time. There were other characters like Ryuhi, but they didn't really have a name, so really this, that, and that was the original aspect of Nonz. There's no 4 characters. And from that bred Kuwabenga. I always said Kuwabenga in my head, but I never made a character design, and I never put him in an arc. I'm like, if I need to make this an anime, I want a character made Kuwabenga, because the whole meaning of Nonz is to reflect how I felt on TV today. And Hose is really representing everything that I loved about it, and Hose is a really, really, really good movie. I love Silent Love. He's my favorite Disney actor, not just because of Transformers, but because what he did was he said, I'm gonna do this shit one time, and I'm gonna make sure the guy who replaces me makes this shit look like shit. I'm like, how could he pull it off? Even Helen was impressed by Charlotte's performance. I'm like, oh my god, because Helen is a movie critic. Helen is a big, big, big movie critic. Showtime, really, she knows what standards are to influence. And she reads the Da Vinci Code. Helen really, really up there when it comes to really political nonsense that are for your personal pleasure. She is crazy. There was this one time I was shopping with Helen trying to get some medicine, and literally I copied some shit down her for the adventure. What happened is I thought to myself, and literally he scolds me for cussing, like, did Eric's just cuss? He's like, Eric, but I have to take you to the store. So what I do is, instead of taking a line when they cuss, I take a line where it's appropriate. What they specifically said in the episode was, he's like, they made a master fucking plan. No, seriously, they made the most concrete fucking plan, and they all agree in the same plan. And they're like, yes, it was to bring down the village or to solve a plot or something, but they kept on literally fucking talking about the fucking plan and shit. And then they finally figured out, he's like, oh, it's so simple. And then they're all like, yes. He's like, I know, right? And they were like, yes. He's like, yes. We're fucking geniuses. No, they said freaky. It's like, yes. No, they literally, on Adult said this, on Adult Swim, they said freaky. So it's like, yes, we're freaking geniuses. And then someone pops out of nowhere, you're freaking idiots. So I'm walking, so I'm in the line with Helen, and I'm behind her, and I talk to myself, and I'm like, you're freaking geniuses. And I'm like, you're freaking idiots. And then Helen pivots. No, it was funny because he turned around. I was like, why isn't Helen, why is he looking calm but looking mad at the same time? And she's like, what? Why does he give off this accepting energy? And I realized over time, but I know you got that from a cartoon. And literally, I just figured out just now, is because you took advantage of the fact that they couldn't cuss in front of me. But she looked at me like, you're smart, and because you're doing something about it. You get what I'm saying? Literally, this is nothing new, Harris. I'm like, you watch Dragon Ball Z with Big Daddy all day. No, it was funny because I said that shit and she looked back at me, but she did it in such a slow fashion. She gave me time to figure out what she was doing, and she looks at me, she's like, what? But I'm saying at her, I don't know what Big Mom was trying to tell me. And what I love about Hose is Hose represents why I like Silent, but that was what I love about Hose is that it showed you that it was really, really dark, but it was really, really light at the same time. I'm like, dude, it really, really makes you think about, people don't give a fuck about you shit, and this is why. I'm like, dude, you fucking play with my emotions, you lead me on to a fucking desert thinking I'm gonna be all safe, and then you expose me to a fucking rattlesnake. I'm like, what the fuck? And then you tell me to dig a hole. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I haven't seen nothing like this. I think I have no idea where they're a gay gap, but I think that has to be fixed though, because I've been in Boy Scouts in and out when we had to do shit like that, but we never ever had to be to a point where we would have to dig a hole through the rattlesnakes or a possibility of a rattlesnake. That movie that scared the fuck out of me, but they kept it consistent. What made that how you deal with that? And some characters I forgot characters free. That movie is so dark that I forget if characters die, because it keeps a PG rating, but they keep the theme so what they do is that they take you movies are PG theme and rating, but they take you on such a mature journey. I'm like, dude, people never get fucking lost like this. People really go straight for. I got so lost in that. I'm like, dude, I want to put emphasis on this, but I can't. This shit is fucking evil, but literally it plays out to be good. But literally, it's like literally. Like, it's something that I'll love to watch, so I can watch again. But literally, I was just wondering, what was that one point? Because there was this one girl in the whole movies that really caught my attention. That one that was dealing with the round snakes, he let me know a lot about life, and how badass can be. Like, dude, this is something Uncle Sonny was showing me. Why did he put this in a Disney movie? I had no fucking clue. Like, how mature that shit is, how they expose you on all that shit. Like, they mixed boot camp. Like, what they did was they mixed boot camp with Boy Scouts elements. So they kept the Boy Scout, lesson. Their lesson is Boy Scouts, but they're presenting you in the boot camp way. So I'm like, hoes, like, why they do that? Really? And then I see Silent King, and asked him, like, he was my hope throughout the movie, and he's the reason why I kept watching the movie and why I enjoyed the movie like the most. Like, he's the reason why that movie what they did was really. They distracted me with all that shit, and then I got to come home to see Shyla, and then when I see Shyla succeed where other characters don't, it made me feel like I had no idea, it may be it's the different paths in society that's based on a different paths in society. Because there's this one girl who I was like in scout camp with named Fee. I think her name was Fee. She was she went to summer camp and she was hot and she was like a Boy Scout instructor. And I used to fuck around with younger fucking Boy Scouts and shit. I'm like, hey, I bet you I can slap your Fee's butt. Little Asian kids be like, yo, Eris, if you slap Fee's butt, you be in so much trouble. Little do you know, that may not happen, but what's happening right now is she recognizes that I have green eyes, and what's happening in real life is that is the biggest possibility. And what you're failing to realize is she fucks around, Lily, that she is a teenager, and that she shouldn't be there at all, but you can't call it out because you only see her one fucking time. Like, she shouldn't be there all, but she is, and she looks like somebody you want to fuck, but you present her in front of kids. I'm like, why you let her in here? That's the same way I felt about that movie. And Lily, Fee is a girl who let me slap her butt in the real world, but not in scout camp, and that's what made that Asian nigga shit so funny. So Ant-Holes is gonna have literally Kevin Eddie. Kevin Eddie is based off Kevin from Ben 10 and Eddie freaking Brock. Eddie Brock and Kevin Eddie. So he's gonna be literally. So it's gonna be him and literally so many others. I am so hyped. So instead of Sun Pissed, it's gonna be Sun Kissed. So Sun Kissed maybe up in there. There's gonna be a whole lot of people. So Kimmy Grievous. I love Kimmy Grievous. Kimmy Grievous is based off Kimmy Mo and Gerald Grievous. If you want to know who my favorite Star Wars character is, it's Gerald Grievous. And Kimmy Mo is literally what he does is he moves like Kimmy Mo, but he has multiple blades like Gerald Grievous, and that literally is so much fucking more. It was literally so fucking funny. Literally, I was over at Auntie Lisa's house, and literally we're watching literally Star Wars 3. I love Star Wars 3, and so many people make fun of it. And so what happened is this whole generation took the whole concept of Star Wars wasn't like the books, and they want to make life just like the Star Wars books, and have us understand things just like the Star Wars books, and comment on it like a nerd, but never really go out to anything so a nerd would ever have his own sense of fashion. So literally, well, it's okay to be a nerd, but can you wear a shirt that has a controller to let you know that you're about gaming instead of really just wearing everything? Can you wear something? I'm not asking you to be gangster, but you're really being inconsiderate. People just literally walking around literally just like with casual things thinking you're cool. You get what I'm saying? Really, you need something that's defining. Are you ever gonna pick up a Nirvana skirt or something that symbolizes something, or anime tee per se? Do you ever think you want to really express your love for anime, in a charismatic way at all? How you do things, do you want to have a plushie? You really know what I play? So anime community, you like anime community videos? What if I made a running gag where I use my plushie as a puppet? I can do that, because that's how you guys think now. That's what I can do for you guys now. So it's really good, because you know how Tech and all them talk through freaking. What if I make it more interesting? What if I give you anime information by checking with my puppet? It's really crazy. I'm talking with my puppet, so I'm talking to Elmo, but I'm talking about anime with Elmo. It's crazy. So what happens is when you take the material in the books and you compare them to the movies for so long and you slander 3, there's a big problem with 3, but there's the reason why I love 3 and why 3 is my favorite one is because I have the right for it to be personal, because Gerald Grievous is the fucking shit, and that 3 had the best fights, but all the other ones had the best plots. So what society was to focus on literally the plots of all the other Star Wars and forget about 3, but you forgot about the turning tide of the thing, and that's where literally they got this big misconception, because that's where Star Wars literally has this revelation as a whole. because Lily, that's when the new dictator takes over the universe, and we sleep on that concept. This is how he Lily, and so they're obsessed with everything. You got that they spam that concept throughout the entire thing, and from that is why we have cringe. It's to make sure you know, like, Lily, why this other shit is irrelevant. But that's the exact reason, like, why they advertised the 4th episode first. Because what you have to understand is Creed was advertised to be bad, but we praise it. But that's the whole reason why he did Lily. So, okay, I'll do it. All right. I'm like, Lily, we watching Star Wars, everyone together. My cousin, my piehead cousin, Lily, who comes over for Thanksgiving. Hey, yo, you got the goods? Yeah. Hey, Grandma, we got to step outside real quick. We talk about the other ones more, but we want to look at it from time to time, and we think this one's like way better. I mean, like, Lily, if I'm in the mood, I'm gonna, like, Lily, I'm not gonna watch that from beginning to end because I watched it 100 times. I want to go watch the other Star Wars movies to really see like the action, because this one had the most action, but they have something that Lily, that you need in your life when you become a grown man, because Darth Maul and shit like that is shit, that's the shit you really get interested, because you get so used to like epic on top of epic, man. Because Lily, my favorite fight in Star Wars was Yoda versus the Counselor. Oh my god, it's aspects like that. So what I do is I take aspects like that and I make them arcs and Nonz. Lily, I love that. So like, Lily, figure this and that. What people like know is good, is really good, because that's the difference between like Lily, Anakin and stuff like that. I reference Lily, like what I do is Lily, I look at the focal point, I look at the leader, I look at this and that, and how a lot of things that I do is like Yoda. You know how Yoda got to live on for so fucking long, and really how Yoda got to get the last step? Yoda trained Luke, so it doesn't matter what the fuck you do. Like, so Counselor fucking won this and that, and gets that, but Yoda let him win like on purpose, because you know what? If this is the fucking beginning, because if you know how I fight, Lily, I forget, this nigga locked, like, you know, the fucking Counselor locked Yoda. He really locked Yoda to the point where Lily, they were evenly matched. He took advantage of it and he pushed him off a cliff. And like, Lily, he's like, you know what? Fucking, this is actually a tie. You won on paper because you pushed me down and I was small as fuck. But you know, I am trying as strong as you. You know, I'm not gonna expose myself at the beginning. And so, you know what I'm gonna do is Lily, I'm gonna know that you're gonna win because you're a fucking snake, but I'm gonna stick around. And that's the meaning of Lily, a lot of shit in Star Wars. That's a little bit of an education for you. So I literally tell you, I love Mad Mod. So Lily, I've been really studying this shit for a while. So like, Lily, we are Mad Modded out for this special with Nonz. And as far as Ant-Holes is gonna be one of the most strategic, like, Lily movies and Nonz. It's gonna be the biggest, you know, one in terms of strategy. The second one that's gonna be next to it is gonna be Glider Man. So Glider Man and this one is gonna be like Lily. So what the ants are is their role is that they tell you how to get out of the freaking maze. So like, there are people who are there the whole time that we have to adapt to, but Beretta trapped us in their field spell. So what we have to do is we have to break the ceiling, but like, we can't break it because we can't reach it. So what, the ceiling becomes the sky. Imagine you can see the sky, but you can walk on the sky. Literally, you can climb ladders in order to reach the sky, but like, it's like fucking literally. So what they did was they rose it to the top, so like, you are stuck in this mud fucking village that's the side of a skyscraper, and you're trying to work your way up. So like, what's gonna happen is this, so they have to like literally, so what they do is literally, we have to carve the fucking way, we have to cultivate the inside in order to reach to the top, and that's what Ant-Holes is all about. So what they do is they use more hero in this like literally, so like literally, there's gonna be a whole bunch of other stuff, you know, like literally, it's gonna communicate. So what they do is they teach you how to do it, and literally, they put us in a critical situation. So you think Ant-Holes is gonna be all strategy, so guess what happens? The ceiling is eventually gonna have to fall, and that's when the fights come, and that is why this is gonna be so hype. This is Moon Kicks, this is Nonz News, and I'm out to